Hello, everybody. Welcome to Take the Black Life, the one and only show on the internet where we are talking about things like science fiction, fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Dune, I don't know, Star Wars, pop culture. You get the idea. We are in week 1300 of lockdown, coming at you live from all of our respective homes. We have a special guest today. I am Dan Selcke of winterscoming.net. Mia is Mia Johnson of fancenter.com. And today we have with us Wick writer and Last Kingdom subject matter expert Corey Smith. Corey, where are you and how are you?
Coming live from Austin, Texas. I'm good. I was just out back chopping down some trees and some bamboo, building a bonfire. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
About as Texas as it can be.
Really?
What's the bonfire for? Just for kicks?
No, to get rid of the wood I chopped down. We have a bunch of, we have an infestation of bamboo in the backyard. So just getting rid of all that crap while we're stuck in the house. So, yeah.
City living is very soft, and I don't do anything like that. Anyway, but we wanted to have you on today because you are way into the Netflix show The Last Kingdom, which is a medieval drama, been run on for, I think, 3 seasons now, but I have a 4th. And they just released a trailer for it. And because you have interviewed a lot of people involved in this show, by the way. Those like different cast members.
Yeah, a lot of the cast members from the show. They've all been super great to talk to. And we got a couple more coming up. The new season comes out April 26th, which is, I don't know what, 13 days from now?
Days, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be interviewing a lot more of them next week. We'll have all those up. We're doing a podcast with a couple of the guys. A couple of the villains, and then we're going to try a couple of the heroes, and so we'll have a lot of stuff going up. It's a pretty fantastic show, and we're all kind of excited that the season's finally returning.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched it, Mia? The Last Kingdom?
I have not. This is all new to me. Just starting with the trailer I watched, but it looks pretty exciting.
Yeah, speaking of that, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's pseudo history. They base it a lot on actual events, but obviously, back in the 9th century, they don't know everything that happened. So they fill in the gaps. But it's a really, really great show. So
if you want a taste, let's watch the trailer for season 4 of The Last Kingdom now.
I've lost my home. I've lost my name. I'm no longer Gudrid of Bevenbar.
How has it come to this?
When the kings are dead, we will sit on Elford's throne.
We banished the Danes within our lifetime.
Why do you choose them? They are my people.
When we fight with one heart!
I know you will do what is right.
Stand back!
Where does it come from? This courage.
All right, Corey. So you're the expert. So just break down basically what's happening here, because I haven't seen a lot of the show either. I've watched the first 2 episodes. I just have never gotten to the train. I know I really should. So what's happening in this trailer, and what should newcomers or people who are into it take from it, like the number one thing?
Well, season 3 was, the first 3 seasons of the show, the 2 primary characters are Uhtred and King Alfred. King Alfred's a historical figure in England. He, spoiler alert, passes away in the 3rd season. And so season 4 is a bit of kind of like a reset for everybody. So there's a lot of, there's new monarchs. Everybody's kind of going in a new direction. Think of it like kind of like Game of Thrones season 5. Everything built up over the first 3 seasons, and it all exploded. And now everybody's moving off into new directions. So it's kind of a reset. So that'll be interesting to see all the new dynamics between all the characters. So it's kind of a good point to pick up the series. You obviously you'd be missing some of the backstory, but There's a lot of new characters coming in this season. There's a lot of new relationships that are going to be built, and so it's, like I said, a reset. I think is a really good word for it.
Solid enough.
Yeah, I was okay. So, and I'm still trying to like get used to all of this. I saw, I was going through the Reddit, and there were some people talking about like a battle that was happening like 45 seconds in, where it's like one team on one side and one team on the other. Who are those people, and what are they fighting about? What could they be fighting about?
So it's, like I said, it's a historical drama. So it's all based on the Saxons and the Danish invasions. So the Last Kingdom in the first season is Wessex, because the Danes have basically conquered all of England at that point. And so over they pushed back over the first 3 seasons, and now they're starting to take back a lot of the land that the Danes have conquered, but they're obviously not going anywhere easily. So you're seeing the Danes and the Saxons in that battle. So which is basically what you see the first 3 seasons. Anytime anybody fights, it's Danes and Saxons. So so that's who you're seeing there.
Okay. Well, I was wondering, is there any like big sort of build up that we think is going to happen in the season 4. As far as Battle 4, right?
Season 4. Yeah. I mean, so the series, the show is based on a series of novels by Bernard Cornwell, and they basically covered. They're very good. They're easy read, super entertaining. I mean, you can usually get through one of. You can get through them in, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. They're not, but they're fun. They're good read.
He's great in general, I think.
Yeah,
and he's got a huge catalog of books. I mean, that guy turns books out. He's one of those people who just turns books out on a regular basis like clockwork. So unlike some other authors, and will remain nameless. But so anyways, so yeah, I mean, from the books you can kind of, they don't adapt them perfectly well, but I mean, not well, but they don't adapt them exactly how they are in the book.
Yeah.
But the major events stay the same. So there's book readers kind of have a good idea of what battle we're looking at there and what we're seeing. I don't think it'll change too much. They might have one person on a different side or something like that, or somebody dies that didn't in the books. But I mean, we kind of know what that battle is, and it's based on a historical battle as well. So
some comments from the people are fans of The Last Kingdom here. We got Julie saying, I binge watched it when I was able to catch the free trial on Netflix, hoping to be able to catch the last season somehow. I can't tell you what to get, Julie, but I think Netflix is worth it for all the great programming. Love The Last Kingdom, says Sabrina. Looks great. Can't wait, says Ronnie. So yeah, it definitely has a following. I've been wondering, like, The Last Kingdom has always seemed to me to like have a passionate following, but has never quite like exploded like into huge popularity the way like a Game of Thrones or even a Vikings has. Like Vikings is a lot of the same like historical figures even in The Last Kingdom.
Yeah, it does.
But
they share a lot of the same characters, especially early on in the series. Vikings is kind of set earlier. I don't know,
right.
maybe 10, 15 years earlier. So most of those characters, by the time Last Kingdom rolls around, are kind of on their last legs. So it doesn't share a lot of them for very long.
Right.
But yeah, it is kind of odd that it hasn't necessarily gotten majorly popular, but it's so well done that it's kind of it is kind of mystifying to me. Like,
do you think that it could have a chance to do that now? Because I will say, it looks like they're pouring more and more resources into it, like just based on the trailer. Like that is really a step up from what they've been doing before.
Right, and so the first 2 seasons were a co-production between the BBC and Netflix.
Right.
And then in the 3rd season, Netflix took on full control. In the 3rd season, you can definitely see the difference of when the budget went up.
That Netflix money.
Yeah, I got the Netflix money. So, and then just judging by the trailer, I would say, again, we're looking at a jump up in terms of what they spent and the battles and things of that nature. Because, the first 2 seasons, there's a couple of major battles, but they're kind of they take place at the end of the season. And during the season, anytime you run into a battle, it's kind of hey, we're going to battle and roll credits. And so now you're actually seeing a lot of those, the individual moments in the battle instead of kind of the big overarching shot. So,
right. I mean, I wonder if now's the time, maybe, because it's so respected as a show. It's so beloved, and now we're all at home with nothing to do, and we're starved for content. And if the Tiger King can blow up like that, I don't see why a great new show like this couldn't maybe have its moment in the sun.
Yeah, and it's so well written, and the characters are really intricate, and it's I'd say that the difference between like Vikings and this is it's a lot more compact. So it focuses on a smaller group of characters. There's big things going on, and there's major events, but it really focuses on a smaller group of characters as opposed to just all these people in 100 different places doing things like on Vikings or Game of Thrones. So I think people could really latch onto it. And the first season there's a little bit of a learning curve, but you get over it, and then once you get rolling, it's like any show. I mean, the first season is going to have the learning curve, and then you start rolling with it. So
cool. Okay, so there's another question, and I want to ask about Uhtred.
Uhtred, yeah. Alexander Draymond. That's the main character. Uhtred is the main character.
Okay. Let's see here. Dan, well, Dan, I'll let you figure this one out because we have two questions. One about him returning to Babenberg, and then one about his love interest. Or we can touch on both of those topics and kind of meld them into one.
Yeah, so Bebenberg is his ancestral home that he kind of his uncle usurps him as a child. In the it's the first episode of the series. So
I have seen that.
Yeah, and so his uncle kind of takes over Bebenberg. It's a big, huge fortress that's pretty much impenetrable, and Uhtred spends the first 3 seasons. Initially he flees south to Wessex to gain power and money to go take back Bebenberg, but one thing leads to another, and he just gets caught up in everything going on, and so he's never actually made it back. So to see that in the trailer is kind of a big deal, to see that he's finally going to go back to his home. Whether he'll end up reclaiming it or getting denied, who knows, but that was a big moment to see that in the trailer. So
that he's coming home. Interesting.
And his love interest, his love interest, Uhtred's a bit of a ladies' man. Alexander Draymond is a incredibly good-looking man, and it happens. And so, and he's a warrior. He's a badass, and
wait, let me make sure I know what he looks like.
He's kind of like long-haired Jon Snow a bit in the face department.
Yeah, but minus he doesn't have the emo boy energy going on.
No.
Yeah, I totally see it.
Especially early on, he's like raw, masculinity early on, and then he's like any kind of guy, in his early 20s, he's all testosterone, and then as he grows older, he starts to think and use his brain. But so yeah, his love interest, it looks like they're setting him up to have a relationship with Ethelfled, who is ridiculous. Writing articles on this series is just a challenge in consonants. Because you got Ethelfled, Ethelwald, Ethelred, Uhtred. I'm trying to think some of the other ones.
By a consonant, people.
Yeah, Aylesworth. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then you'll have your random guys named Edward. So it's just Alfred and Edward were always the easy ones to spell.
Normal guys.
Yeah, and then obviously even then too, when and then the actors, of course, their names, they do a good job of casting Danish actors for the Danes and stuff like that, and so you get all kinds of wild names there too. So that's always fun. But yeah, it looks like he's gonna maybe start some sort of relationship with Ethelfled, who is King Alfred's daughter. So he's the sister of King Edward, and she kind of is set up as one of the first female rulers in England of the Kingdom of Mercia. So she's not just a random, princess or something like that. So,
yeah, very cool. As Diane points out, the names are all real. It's history, which is true.
Correct.
But it's one of those times where you're like, I still wish history would have included more consonants. Like, I don't care if they're real. I want them to be spelled easier.
Yeah, and, it's very hard on spell check and all that stuff. Anytime I write an article, I keep the IMDb list up because it's just like the actors' names I got, but Ethelfled and Ethelred and Ethelwald and Aylesworth. It's just like, oh my lord, how am I supposed to remember where that extra e and the extra a go and all that? So
do the old copy and paste.
Yep, it's a lot of copying and pasting. So
it kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones. There was like Daenerys and Viserys, and then Uncle Kevin was thrown in there too for fun.
Yeah, it's real similar to that. Yeah,
and as Debbie says, Mia, he's hot, very Jon Snowish. So we definitely have.
I am. Look, I've got my second screen, and I've just got all the pictures of.
Perfect. I do have to watch it. I swear to God, I will. Just getting around to it. All right, Corey, do you have any other thing you want to say about Last Kingdom? Anything else we should know before we move on?
I'm trying to think. No, I mean, I'm just excited to see where it goes because I think, season 3 we saw, like I said, Netflix, assumed kind of full, control and pumped up the budget. And it looks like they're doing that again. And so I think it'll be a lot of fun to see how much it progresses because they actually also have had quite a bit of time between the seasons at this point, about a year and a half.
That's true.
Which is a little bit longer than normal for them. So, and obviously, as we're all stuck in the house, I could deal with a new show, a season of a new show to watch because it's, there's not a whole lot else to do at night when you're not allowed to go out. So, yeah, I think it'll be fun. I'm excited to see where it goes and to see how successful it is.
Yeah, as Sherry says, I have to watch it. I agree. I'm looking forward to it on the 26th, and look forward to Wick with our interviews with the cast coming up this week and next week. I'm looking forward to that.
Like I said, we'll have some interviews with a lot of the new characters, and then we're going to be doing some Take the Black podcasts with a couple of the cast members.
That's pretty fun.
We'll talk all the behind-the-scenes stories they got. They got some wonderful stories from set. So we're going to be doing a lot of coverage, the week before and the week after, definitely.
Okay. Corey, I cannot thank you enough for dropping by. A million thank yous.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course. Have a great night.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
Adios. All right. Dear readers, I think for a second it might be a little wonky as we readjust back to 2 screens. So just bear with us for 1 sec. Earlier, you may have seen a message flash on my screen while I was messaging Mia. Okay, I didn't know that happened in Skype. What's the point of having a messenger app if it just flashes? I could just tell you if I don't get that at all. But now we're all learning together here how to do shows from home. So that's something that
perfect.
I don't know. I think we are. I think we're more or less back. All right. Our next topic I wanted to cover, because this was a big one that came out yesterday, was Dune by Frank Herbert. Dune. Directed by a man whose name I also can't pronounce.
Good luck.
Dennis. I think it's Dennis Villeneuve. Dennis. My man Dennis.
Dennis, yeah.
First of all, Mia, what's your familiarity with Dune? Are you into it at all?
I know absolutely nothing about Dune.
Okay. Really,
I just brushed up on it yesterday. Please.
That's true. You were the pictures. So Dune is a 1965 novel by Frank Herbert. Very, very, very inspirational. Star Wars would not exist if not for Dune. That is definitely true. It's been described as like Game of Thrones in space a little bit. It's basically we're in the far future. We have technology. We're on a desert planet. It's all about these houses kind of fighting for control of this one planet, Arrakis, aka Dune, that produces a very valuable resource. And I'll be honest, I read it as like a middle schooler, and I read it again recently to get ready for like the new movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how you guys in the audience feel, but I always found it kind of cold and a little bit hard to get into. It's very clinical-ish, but it's definitely well written, and again, very influential. Like it's hard to kind of move into space and not be a little familiar with it. So I try to do that, and I'll try it again. And the movie I think looks really cool. And we got some images yesterday of some of the characters and the actors, which, by the way, it's completely stacked with actors. It's really quite remarkable.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh my goodness.
Wow. And I will say, this stuff looks pretty cool. I want to go over a little bit and see what we have. First up, we have Timothée Chalamet, who is definitely Timothy, who is definitely an it man of the moment, right? I mean, he's pretty right now. As Paul Atreides, who's the main character of Dune. He's kind of like, he's our Jon Snow, he's our Uhtred Bittenberg, he's our Luke Skywalker, he's our main guy while Paul the hero's journey and stuff, with his mother, the Lady Jessica.
Yeah.
It's also really crucial to the story. Yeah. I love the way it looks. I love the landscape.
Yeah. I was reading in the Vanity Fair article that came with this. I believe they were shooting, obviously out in the desert. And right. Timothée Chalamet was talking about just how hot, like over 100 degrees it would be. And on top of that, they have to wear these suits to wear. I have to give them props for being fitted in this. I would probably just automatically pass out. But it looks so good.
And then it's very hard. I mean, it does look good. These are, by the way, these are still suits. Because you see Mia still suits. On Dune, it's very, very dry and very, very hot. And when you're out, and there's no water anywhere. So a still suit recycles the body's moisture and then feeds it to you. Doing things.
I also read about that. I didn't know about the feeding it to you part.
Oh yeah, it's all about recycling. Dune is a big thing for it's a big epic and everything. It's also really into ecology. It gets into the biology of the planet. There's a lot going on in Dune. I'll never say that it's not a rich book. Maybe not a book I loved. It's hard to get into. You'll see. Yeah. Sherry says that it's a hard book to get into, and I kind of agree with that. Down in the desert. We also have Sharon Duncan Brewster as Liet Kynes, who is a leader of the Fremen tribe, who are the native inhabitants of Dune. And this one's interesting because in the books, Liet Kynes is a man, and they've flipped the gender here for it. Yeah. Which I think is perfectly fine. I mean, this was 1965. Let's not beat around the bush. They weren't including tons of women in the book.
I think the director was consciously trying to make a choice. How can we incorporate more women into the film? Again, I don't know really anything about the characters, but they were saying that Lady Jessica gets a bigger role kind of than in the book. So I don't know what that means. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to see the movie to find out what it means for sure. But they were we've got more women. We're going to have, all those things. We'll see. But I don't mind the switch at all with the characters.
No, it's fine. And I mean, I've read the book. The character will work either way. And again, the look is great. I think the photography is really, really beautiful. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely. Yeah. We also have, on our parade of huge names, Zendaya's in this. Who again is a really hot property right now. Oh yeah. Definitely someone who's sought after. She is playing Chani, another member of the Fremen tribe, and Paul's eventual love interest. I'm sure it's not a giant spoiler to say there is one. There's always one, isn't there? Yeah. And again, looking really cool. I just like the starkness and the detail of photography. And you'll notice her eyes are
bluish. They're going blue.
That's Cosmia. In Dune, it's all about this thing called a spice, which is this substance that only grows there. It's like the super drug that makes you like a super person, but it also turns your eyes all weird and blue. So get ready for that.
Very interesting.
It is. I wonder if I sound like a breathless nerd right now talking
No.
about. You and the audience can decide that for me. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good people in this. Also,
Let's move on to my favorite picture, unless you have something else to say.
Oh no, that was it. If Zendaya and Shyamalan weren't enough, we also have Oscar Poe Dameron Isaac as Duke Leto Atreides, Paul's father.
He's
and
literally
again,
staring into my soul in this photo. I can't believe it.
I was going to ask, why is this your favorite?
It's Oscar Isaac. Look how awesome. I can't. I'm not going to curse in this, but look how awesome he looks. I mean,
go ahead.
Oh my gosh, no! It's. I think it's just Oscar Isaac, and he just exudes, this greatness and sexiness. Like, can we be real?
Just go ahead, yeah.
Everyone was going wild, thirsting over this photograph. I absolutely love it. I was like, I need more Poe Dameron. I need Poe Dameron with a beard. Oscar. See, I don't even remember. It's Oscar Isaac. That's the Star Wars nerd in me. I'm like,
that is a piercing stare. Is what that is.
Yeah.
His outfit's interesting. Like in the old movie, they were dressed in these Napoleonic outfits, like military folk, and now it's like, no, space armor. Like we are going like it's full Knights of the Round Table in space. Is it's giving me, which is fun. I'm into it.
Yeah, sword. I think that's Josh Brolin behind him. It looks like.
Yes, it is. Oh yeah, he's in this. Josh Brolin's in this.
Yeah,
Thanos is in this.
Thanos is gonna snap everyone out of the picture.
As Gurney Halleck, the warrior / poet musician, who's a cool character. I do like him. He's pretty prominent.
What a great title.
It is. And then finally, we have another big star, if it weren't enough already. Jason Momoa is in this. I mean, if we're talking about kind of sexy dudes who are kind of the moment, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa. I'm not sure where Josh Brolin ranks in that, but all in the same.
Yeah. Good-looking dudes category. Yeah.
Be lots. And he is playing Duncan Idaho, the sword master of House Atreides. They're all like,
what a name out of all this.
That is
Idaho.
I love sci-fi names. Like,
yeah,
we were just talking about Ethelfled and Aelfith and Aethelred and all those names over there, which are based in history. And now you have names here that like run the gamut from, I guess they're pretty normal, like Lady Jessica.
Yeah,
like Duke Leto Atreides. Leto's not a crazy name. Paul. And then Duncan Idaho, kind of like, it sounds like something you would get in like a backwoods part of the country or something.
Yeah.
Like that's his nickname.
It's like one of those random name generators, like, the name of your 5th grade teacher plus the last state you were in.
But again, and that photo is, oh, by the way, he's clean shaven in that thing. Have I I've ever seen him clean shaven in this?
I feel like I might have, but I don't remember who, what, when, where, or why. But it is it's a little offsetting, even though he's kind of like crouched. You can't really see him that much. So I think that kind of helps.
But yeah, definitely a terrific cast. So I will say this. I am not the biggest fan, as Sherry says, yummy. I mean, I got to agree. There's a lot of people in here. He's giving you a glower too. Everyone glowers in this thing.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of Dune the book. I don't know. I find it hard to kind of break through. I read the second one too. I'm trying here, guys. I am trying.
Yeah.
But I do love Denis Villeneuve's movies. I loved Arrival. I love the new Blade Runner. I think he has a really great way with visuals and pacing, which are very deliberately paced. Like they really draw you in. It's a real mood. So I think if anybody can, and this does seem like kind of well suited to his talents. So, and I think it does look really cool. So I am into it. This is going to be part 1 of a 2-part adaptation of the book. I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, it is a big, complex book. It's not the Hobbit thing where they put it through for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked Arrival. I still haven't seen the new Blade Runner,
He's good.
Which I like. It's probably something right up my alley anyway. But I did really like Arrival. So Not that I know, like I said, a ton about this, you know, the whole Dune thing, but I'm at least hopeful. It sounds like he's kind of got what it takes to execute it right and make it fun and interesting.
I think that's right. Yeah, if anybody can execute this, it's Denis Villeneuve. I love David Lynch. I'm a huge David Lynch fan, but he did a version of the movie back in '84, and it's like he didn't quite find his way. So it's high time for a new one. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it comes in December, assuming the coronavirus doesn't knock it off. I know.
Oh, well.
So that's Dune. What's next on the agenda?
On to the next. Let's talk some Marvel things. This was last Thursday, I believe. Taika Waititi, the great, brilliant director of Thor Ragnarok and so many other, went on Instagram Live for a Thor Ragnarok watch party. So what he did was literally like he had his phone with him. He had Instagram on his phone and he had his laptop, basically watching the movie, but just answering people's questions about like, you know, what's going to happen in Thor: Love and Thunder, who's coming back, blah, blah, blah. But he did actually reveal a couple of things about Thor: Love and Thunder, which is Thor 4. So the first thing he revealed, yeah, I love that. First thing he revealed, do you remember Meek from Thor Ragnarok? It was like Korg's friend.
I mean,
weird, like
I looked it
alien
up.
baby.
Off the top of my head, no, but I did go back. No. Yes.
Okay, yeah, Meek was the one who's like Korg's friend, and he died, and he didn't die, and then they were also in Infinity War. He released some concept art that he revealed about Meek. He said that Meek is a woman, is female. Okay. So that's new. Everybody's like, okay, I guess that's fine. Meek's got some sexy legs going on. And I don't know if that's Taika Waititi's humor to do this type of thing, or if it's going to be like a legit, image or concept that'll be used in the movie. But he is really, really funny about all that. The other thing is, do you remember what New Asgard is all about?
Okay. Yes, that was Asgard got destroyed in Thor Ragnarok, and they traveled to Earth.
Yes.
And they kind of got interrupted by like the Endgame events and everything. But basically, the Asgardians now just live on like a fjord and are ruled over by Tessa Thompson, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So they're living in Norway now, and it's called New Asgard. And he also revealed a new image of that. Which it kind of just looks like a hodgepodge of like, a little bit of Norway, a little bit of old Asgard. And so it just kind of looks like, obviously, we're going to see more of that and see, is President Trump or whoever going to evict the Asgardians? No.
Out of Norway?
Yeah. He's like, can't be here. It's my jurisdiction now. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so he also revealed a couple of things about who might be in the new movie. He is thinking that space sharks could be in it. And those are space sharks. Those are intergalactic sharks that go through the cosmos or whatever. And they were first introduced in the X-Men. So people are kind of like, oh my gosh, an X-Men, thing in an MCU thing.
That's true.
I see her, yeah.
That does have to happen eventually because they now own X-Men, so the Madame Porter gets integrated. Like literal sharks, like Jaws sharks, but in space.
Yeah, they're just sharks, man.
All right, cool. I'm into it.
That's so Taika Waititi, though.
That is very. That's very right.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about like Denis Villeneuve being like very kind of deliberate and paced. Like Taika Waititi just like throw everything against the wall. Yeah. It's great. They're both really good.
And then so the final thing that he talked about was some people kind of asked like who's coming back and who's not. A lot of people wanted to know about Christian Bale, if he would be playing oh my gosh, Beta Ray Bill. He said he didn't really know. He couldn't really give any answers on that. Silver Surfer is not going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder. And he did not reveal if Loki's going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder either. Probably, obviously, because we've got a whole series to watch. We'll figure out what happens then.
I bet
lots of big,
cameo.
There's got to be something there.
They know where their bread is buttered.
Exactly. Moving on now, we also have James Gunn, who's on Twitter to kind of talk about his upcoming projects. He's working on
a lot. Like, did you see
He's
his
got a
thread
lot
today
going
where
on.
he was like, here's a thread about all the movie sequels that are better than the originals. Like, everyone's just kind of being bored and just taking to Twitter and
Wait, he
talking
did
about
that
stuff.
today?
Yeah, it was like 20 movies. Like, James Gunn, like, here's all the sequels that are better than the originals. Like The Godfather Part 2, Aliens, that kind of thing.
I wonder if he was so inspired by fansided.com. Right now, we're actually running a whole week of content about reboots and sequels and redos and all that stuff. So I think that maybe James Gunn is watching Fansided. I'm just
I
going to
think he's definitely watching Fanside. I don't know why you're hedging. Like, absolutely. Which one of you is James Gunn?
Yeah. So he gave an update basically on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And he says right now it's all, nothing's changed. He says right now the plans with Volume 3 are exactly the same as they were before coronavirus. Which to me, I'm like, there was never really a release date for Guardians of Galaxy 3 anyway. So it's like, does this mean that the plan is there is no plan?
You can't delay something if it has no release date.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
It's got the galaxy brain going on. And then, over on the DC side, where he's working on the Suicide Squad, that is technically still set to open August 2021. And he said right now there's no reason for the Suicide Squad release date to move. We are on or ahead of schedule. We're extremely fortunate to wrap shooting and set up editing from our homes due to a post-production team in studio with foresight before quarantine. So it looks like he's got everything under control.
That's great. I mean, we're all looking for kind of rays of hope with the situation, right? Like, we all, and there are other things that are a lot more important than what movies are coming out, but I keep wanting to see like a story about, okay, everything's safe and we're starting up production again to see, okay, it can happen, right?
Exactly.
And I do like hearing that there are some things in the pipeline that aren't going to be affected, or at least not hugely affected by what's going on now.
It does make me wonder. I feel like we had this conversation before about, we've got all these projects, especially like MCU movies and DCEU movies where they're kind of like, being pushed back and taking other spots. But I mean, I guess according to him, it's no problem. So it's good to hear.
Yeah. I obviously, I hope everything is wrapped up as we all get over this sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And then we just, tell our kids about this really weird time that we went through 4 years ago. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, man, I watched so much TV. I sat on the couch all day. It was horrible. No, but it's more serious than that. But, hey, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, out of all the tragedies that could have happened in my lifetime, I cannot be complaining that I don't, the worst or best thing that I can do is not go outside. So.
Oh, and I mean, look, like, I'm not sure if it says on the show or not, but like, had this happened, even 10 years ago, it would have been a whole different ball game. Like, we wouldn't have been able to do as much conferencing, like people that work in general. I mean, people are obviously hurting. It's horrible, but I mean, I guess it's, if you're gonna have a plague, have it when there's a well-developed technological infrastructure. Speaking of well-developed technological infrastructure, let's talk, before we get to our audience question, which we did get, by the way, and I want to answer because it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Let's discuss the latest episode of Westworld, wherein Dolores Abernathy revealed, I'm going to try to say this so it makes sense in my head, hacked into the supercomputer that determines everybody's paths in life, sent all of the information about what they were destined to do to their phones. They read it, freaked out, and there was mass bedlam. What did you think of the big Westworld twist?
I don't even know where to begin, obviously. I think what's interesting, I guess I'll start here, is talking about like the title of it was genre.
Yes.
You kind of find that out a little bit midway through, because Caleb gets drugged by the head of Insight, the people who own all the information. And then he starts going through these weird phases where he's seeing in black and white, or, he hears romance music or Flight of the Valkyries. And then it's like, his friend Marshawn Lynch tells him, oh, you're on genre, it's going to be a trip and you better watch out for the climax. to me, and I've watched this episode twice, it started out a little weird because like this is like nothing Westworld has ever done before. It is way, way, way far out there, way trippy. And I didn't know what to think of it because it was just tonally so different.
Yeah, I was there with you.
But watching it the second time, I did appreciate it a little bit more, and how they kind of used that switch up to tell the story, and how they used it to kind of, reveal the big twist, obviously. And then there's so many big moral things about it too, like Caleb questioned. He began to question Dolores toward the end of the episode, and it kind of set the stage for, okay, what's going to happen next with their relationship, because he admired her up until a point.
I mean, who's more admirable?
Yeah.
I mean, could you help me then? Because I was going back and forth with like, okay, is this whole Caleb's on a drug trip and going through like different movie genres, is this brilliant or gimmicky and dumb? Like I couldn't quite tell, honestly. So what do you think was the point of his drug trip? Because like the plot happened whether he was tripping or not.
Of course, yeah. I really think it was something, just an artistic liberty. If you think on the, I think Anna Forster or something like that. It was creatively, it was kind of interesting. Again, as far as contributing to the plot, it's not like, I think it could have been used as a plot device. Like, if he's over here tripping, like, he messes up Dolores or he slows her down, but he was actually pretty fine. But yeah, I was gonna say, it's not a generally good response. So I don't know.
The best one was when he was in the train station and like the lights were pulsing with in time music. That was fun. Like I'd take that. Yeah,
it was fun. It was, I will say, my first reaction, which was not so positive. It was a big WTF is this? This is not the Westworld I remember. I want my old Westworld back. Where's Bernard? Where's Maeve? I was like kicking and screaming on the floor. Because it really does feel like they turned it into the Dolores show, whereas kind of like in the last two seasons, they kind of let, everybody kind of have their own spotlight. This one is like, it's just all Dolores,
I mean, she definitely is the driving force behind it. I mean, she's trying to liberate humanity. Was humanity liberated? Okay, here was my problem with that whole twist. Okay. And like when she revealed everyone's, paths to them. Mm-hmm. My problem was like everyone was freaking out and like, oh, now we're riding side saddle on buses and throwing bricks through windows. I'd be like, you know what? No. If people found out that they were scheduled for like suicide in 20 years, I bet a lot of people just go like, no, I'm not. Put it away and ignore things. I really do. I don't think people think that deeply about that. I think a lot of them would just
like, you know what? I can imagine me going on Twitter and being like, "Dag, they said I'm a failure." R.I.P.
Oh, Twitter would freak out.
There would be like so many memes. Yeah, I don't think I'd be setting a bus on fire. So in a way, it's kind of they're getting into that fantastical sense where they're like, "Ooh, it's the worst case scenario." They start looting and rioting in the streets when it's more like, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
Like that's I couldn't help it. Like that's coming into my head. Like they and on that train, like every single person had like, your daughter's gonna die. Everyone hates you. Like, did nobody have you're doing real good. You're scheduled for a promotion in a year.
Yeah. Like, well, you got to be that humble guy where he's like, oh man, it must suck. Sorry, guys. Like, what do yours say? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what mine says.
I did like it. The episode. I'm enjoying watching. I'm enjoying watching the season. Just honestly, I feel like I was really hurt by that second season, and I'm having. Really. I really do. And
it's funny. I feel opposite. Like I feel fine with the second season. This season is just so far off the wall for me. That it's taken me a while to process everything that's happening. Like I think I like it as kind of like its own separate entity, but when I think back and remember that this is Westworld, then that's kind of when it's back to reality. I'm like, oh right, what is this?
I am curious. I'm gonna keep watching. There are only 3 episodes left. We'll see what happens. And finally, last week I asked y'all to go on iTunes, leave a review of this program, Pick the Black Live, and leave a question. And to my delight, someone did. I wasn't really sure if it would work. But Chris Comp asked a really good question on his iTunes review that I thought was honestly really, really good and thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first Take the Black Live audience question. From Craig Comp. Knowing how it ends, would you recommend Game of Thrones to someone who has never watched it? And I think that's a great question and something I have thought about, because Game of Thrones is such, like, it's not like The Simpsons with like a discrete, with standalone episodes. Like you can watch the first however many seasons, like just sign off and be fine for the rest of your life. Game of Thrones is a serialized story. Like if the whole thing all the way through doesn't kind of hold up, there's a part of me that's like, is the whole thing ruined then? Because it doesn't really end to what everybody really wanted it to be. So I think that's the question that I was wrestling with there. I would still say yes. I think that the show is influential and good and heartfelt and made with enough real passion to be worth watching. I didn't love the ending. Although I tell you what, I am looking forward to like a few years down the line when we all have think pieces looking back on it and being like, was it really that bad? I guarantee that will happen in like T-minus 2 years. So I'd still recommend it, yes. But it does. Yeah. It is a harder question for Game of Thrones because it's so serialized and all of a piece. Like, I have no problem recommending like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you don't like the last season, just stop season 5 and you're fine. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I think without hesitation, I say yes. And this kind of reminds me of a Westworld question. Same thing I was grappling with too. But for Game of Thrones specifically, I think that you can't discount every single individual and the ride that you've had along with it. There are some really awesome, great moments and great characters, character development. And just like even mini story arcs that are like, I think if you were to completely ignore it, you would be sorely missing out. And so I'm glad that I got into it. I dropped out because I was hurt after the Red Wedding. And then, I came back, once we started doing the finale coverage. But I would say that despite being hurt, it doesn't kind of ruin, in hindsight, it doesn't ruin all of the good memories that the show produced, throughout all the seasons. Yeah. But to say back to Westworld, I was thinking, because I recommended before the season 3 that my dad watches Westworld. And now I was thinking, oh man, I don't know if he's going to like season 3 or I don't, but I was like, that doesn't discount the fact that I enjoyed, season 1 or, whatever season 2 was. So I still think it's worth at least having that experience.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, every experience you have, if it makes you feel something, it's kind of worth having. I know it's kind of a hokey thing to say, but I believe that. And Game of Thrones really took you through a whole, at least for me, whole spectrum of human emotion. I very much value it. And I think it's going to kind of settle with time, like the kind of roiling of the ending, that we'll see it sort of be put into context as it goes on. So yeah, I'm very happy to watch it. I will say I haven't gone back to watch it again yet. I'm still not there, but sometime soon.
It's all right.
The commenters are with us more or less, by the way. Sherry says GOT is a must-see. Yeah, the journey through the season was definitely worth it, even though the ending had its flaws, says Debbie. I don't care what anyone else says. Game of Thrones would be 8 fun years. My answer would be yes, says Julie. Absolutely amen, says Jen. Yes, I'm all there. By the way, I had to read this coming from Jen, because it's a gold mine as usual. I missed y'all last week. I would have definitely given Game of Thrones is what got me here and stuck with y'all, even though the skinny fella with glasses isn't around. Yep, gotta love skinny fella with glasses. We'll get him on here eventually to talk about something or other. But, he's at home. And if you want us to answer a question that you have, absolutely go on iTunes, leave a review, as many stars as possible, if you please, or 1, whatever. But yeah, 5. 5 is good. And leave a question, and we will 100% answer it here, next show after that, whatever. And maybe we'll even find a way for you to ask questions without a review, because I think that once you leave a review, can you do it again? Probably not.
Good question.
We'll think about it.
Something to look
Would
into.
you guys
Yeah.
be interested in like a question and answer session with us? I guess you already asked questions here in the comments.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like
Never have enough questions. Yeah.
yeah, they're more like thoughtful ways to do it, I guess. And we'll think about it. Yeah, and as Julie says, each of season 8 is great in hindsight. I think there are great things about all of them. I definitely do.
Yeah.
This was a fun show. We had on Corey Smith. We talked about The Last Kingdom. We discussed the beginning of this Dune, something with Marvel. What a lot of ground we covered, Mia. How you feel?
A lot. It's it's nice to do this in the middle of the day, have something to energize me, somebody to talk to.
Yes. It's always nice to connect with people outside of my ice and bubble. I hope you're okay in your apartment. I hope everyone else out there okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, stay safe, wash your hands. If you have any questions, leave us. Or no, you don't have to have any questions, as Jen Casey says, whichever. And we'll be back next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Rosemary Facebook page for more news, analysis, and what have you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.